In this program, I want to share with you some persons whose lives, like mine, have been transformed by what has become known as the Hare Krishna movement. Although the movement is anything but new, it was unknown in the Western countries until His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, came to the shores of America on a freighter at the advanced age of 70 years old. He carried the message of his spiritual master and of an entire disciplic succession of spiritual teachers. The remarkable feature of his presence was his inconceivable potency to plant the seed of devotion to Krishna in the hearts of so many thousands and now millions of people. By his mercy, the transcendental knowledge, familiar only to those initiated into the secret ambrosia of devotional service to Krishna, has become available to the entire world. We dedicate this program to him.
O my Lord Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. It is he who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual. I therefore meditate upon him who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world.
You're in the very front, you're all the real colorfully dressed and beautifully attractive Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis here, so please, remember it's a big parade, so we need to smile nicely and chant loudly, okay?
Since thousands of years, this Rath Yatra festival of brotherhood has been celebrated in India. It began in the holy city of Puri in the eastern coast of India. In this auspicious festival, people from different parts of the country come together to pull the chariots of the Lord. The Lord is one. We may call him Father in heaven, you can call him Allah, you can call him Buddha, we can call him Rama or Krishna. One may be a Buddhist, Jain, Christian or Muslim. They all come together to pull the chariot of the Lord because the Lord is one for everyone. So this festival of India is to celebrate this unity of mankind amongst the diversity.
And the music just
This is approximately our 15th year participating in the Aloha Day Parade. It was a very ecstatic experience to see all the conditioned souls eager to get Lord Jagannath's mercy as we pass by them.
At the park there'll be a feast. Well, it's ecstatic to say the least. We'll be chanting the whole day through. So what have you got to lose? Festival of the Chariots.
Whenever one develops faith in me, one should worship me in that form. I certainly exist both within all created beings and also separately in my original form, since I am the Supreme Soul of all.
Krishna is actually very much present in his deity form. So I've experienced that over the years. I've been 18 years here in Vrindavan doing deity worship, Mangalarti, making the preparations and setting up the plates and waking the deities up. So actually, for me, it's like a lifestyle. I mean, that's my life and blood. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to stay in Vrindavan because it's such a very austere and very high potency place. So by having a contact with the deities on a daily affair, every day I'm there at least 45 to an hour with the deities alone, so that I can actually say that, this is the substance of my life. So although it's a daily function, but every day it's different. There's never been a day the same. So because of this, because the deity worship is so intimate relationship with the Supreme Lord, I find my whole life has been like completely revolutionized. I was an artist before I joined the movement and had some reputation back in the 60s. So I had a taste of what the world is, and I completely rejected it. I felt this was not the answer. Srila Prabhupada, he told me to stay here in Vrindavan and to work in the arts. We're doing that. I'm working in bronze, in marble, and painting. Having had the basis in training as an artist, painting, sculpture, and architecture, it's a natural evolution to use that service, for Krishna. At this time, I'm doing a Mahabharata series for children, for our devotee audience. It'll be basically an illustrated version, each page an illustration and some small text. And not a scholarly version, but something very simple for devotees and devotee children. Without the deity worship, without the substance of a daily exchange with the Lord, it's not possible to carry on 18 years solid without a break. I work 365 days a year. And I never experienced any fatigue or monotony or routine. It's always new and fresh.
It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, intelligence, and words.
Well, when I first came to Krishna consciousness, I realized that there was something missing in my life, even though I had, grown up with virtually everything anyone could want, and everyone in our family had everything they wanted, more than they needed, and yet there seemed to be a lack of something, a lack of happiness, a lack of direction, a lack of spirituality. Really, is what it was. When I came to Krishna consciousness and came in contact with Srila Prabhupada and started reading Prabhupada's books, I realized that actually that the purpose of having wealth and the purpose of having money and property and assets is actually to serve God. In the beginning, I was mostly helping Srila Prabhupada establish temples in Hawaii and in Detroit. And specifically, he asked me to help create these diorama exhibitions, and I've tried to do that in various places in Detroit and working somewhat in India now. So there was some specific instructions that he gave me as far as preaching activities, but basically it was just a general order to utilize your wealth to serve Krishna.
Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer and give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
Australia's longest-serving Hare Krishna, Kormadasa, has set about enlightening the world to Hare Krishna cooking. His television cookery program has been shown in 40 countries to an estimated audience of 200 million people.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
But worldly success has not distracted Kormadasa from what he sees as his true calling and his devotion of 25 years. Comparing lives at a reunion of high school classmates who remember him as Philip Gordon.
it's nice to see that one of my fellow students also decided to express his feeling of God in a different way and yet still share it with other people.
The early years of the Hare Krishna movement met with a lot of public suspicion.
Those days, life was very simple, and we didn't have any farms or schools or restaurants or big administration to manage. These days we have all those things.
Kormadasa has come a long way since then. He has taught and demonstrated his cooking in schools, colleges and restaurants from London to Warsaw, Delhi to Beijing.
Looking back, and it's taken me a few years to sort of figure it out, but a lot of the passion and frustration that I experienced in youth, which most people would say is just part of growing up, I think it had a lot to do with what I was eating. And looking around at the boys and girls that have grown up as devotees in this movement, I've noticed that they haven't gone through the intense traumas and frustrations, a lot of them, that I went through, and I think it has a lot to do with the diet.
Korma's rigorous lifestyle can mean a 20-hour working day. He's currently rushing to finish a biography of Srila Prabhupada, the movement's founder.
Well, that's it for this edition of Cooking with Korma. I do hope you've enjoyed preparing these dishes as much as I've enjoyed sharing them with you. Happy and healthy eating.
The Krishna consciousness movement vigorously approves the practice of preparing food, offering it to the deity, and distributing it to the general population. This activity should be extended universally.
Presently, we're serving about 1 meal every 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds, 1, 2, there's a Hare Krishna somewhere in the world providing a hot meal to a hungry person.
We are food for life, we are food for life. There's hope inside you, shall be satisfied. Here is food for life, here is food for life. Come to our side, we will feed you. All around the world we want our flag unfurled. Rising sun inside, we have food for life.
So we would travel on the trailer, and at one point bullets were flying over our head, about 20 feet above our head, and we just had to pray that we wouldn't be shot.
Design the world free of pain. We must feed them to this smile. We must feed them to this smile. We are food for life. We are food for life. There's hope inside, you shall be satisfied. Here is food for life. Here is food for life. Come to our side.
Last year we served our 500,000 plates, and we're very proud of that.
We want to have the privilege. We say we'll survive.
Beautiful.
You guys are for real.
I appreciate it very much.
Everyone said everyone should be fed. No one should go hungry within 10 miles. Brothers and sisters, God has come. Krishna.
My name is Daru Brahmadas, and I've been running the program here for about 10 years. It's been going on for 25 years.
Taste His food and be satisfied. We are food for life. We are food for life. There's hope inside. We will help you. Here is food for life. Here is food for life.
Last night, Saturday night, 5 people killed here. We are trying to distribute prasad in this place. Everybody love us.
Here is food for life. Come to our side, we will feed you. We are food for life. We are food for life. There's hope inside, we will help you. Here is food for life. Here is food for life.
Hello again from Mnet Cares, coming to you this week from Durban. We're here to investigate a new concept. We've all heard about nuclear-free zones and smoke-free zones. But how about a hunger-free zone?
There's much, much more to food for life than filling a belly. That people need to know that somebody cares for them and loves them. And that caring and loving is given in such a simple, person-to-person way that there's no better way to show that caring and love than to help them out with some food when they're having trouble.
That is the spirit of Masakana, of building one another together. It is also the spirit of today's festival, organized by Hare Krishna Food for Life.
Prabhupada always emphasized the importance of prasadam distribution, so we took that to heart. There wasn't anybody at the time making a fresh juice product. So we thought this would be a nice way to distribute prasadam.
Taking a first bottle to the offering to the deities in the temple.
For the people to associate the name Govinda with something that's fresh, pure, very first class.
I knew that Prabhupada said you could change the world through prasadam, so it inspired me in my service. I've been living on my own in Sarasota, and I opened a restaurant in November of last year.
Not all the turkeys were dinner today.
Local patrons of an organic restaurant substitute tofu turkey for the real thing, and that spared his life.
Replace all these meat products with natural things that don't harm your body and that you can refine our intelligence and so forth.
I could experience people expanding their consciousness, just changing the way they were simply by eating prasadam.
We have been doing this program for many years, and people appreciate our service. In a sense, the bakery is like a temple. By making offerings to the spiritual master, we feel unified with all the devotees here and everywhere.
So open restaurants in any part of any city and make nice delicacies. Let everyone be satisfied. The renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work.
You're listening to 1480 KHQN in Spanish Fork, Utah. This is your headquarters for culture and consciousness. Let me remind one and all that tomorrow is our annual Festival of India. Last year's event drew 5,000 participants, and most of those will be back, I think, tomorrow with their friends. Scout leaders are sending their troops over here, parents are bringing their kids, teachers are referring their students. And I think the reason for this is that we don't threaten anyone. Our culture, since time immemorial, has not attempted to gain converts by criticizing or putting down another religion. We basically respect and accept all religions, but feel we have something to add.
This is the 17th year. And we know Srila Prabhupada is very pleased when he sees people having their lives transformed. Many people come, and as a result of going to a festival like this, they become vegetarian. If they're a Christian, Hindu, or Mormon, they become better at whatever they are by adopting some of the practices of Krishna consciousness into their life. We're very happy to see people's lives transformed.
Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed with the weapon of knowledge.
It was Prabhupada's idea from the very beginning that the Krishna consciousness movement belonged among the leadership of this world, that it had to be most respectable.
We can become a member of this graduate theological union. Then they can get a degree recognized by the state of California, so they can teach in universities all over the whole country.
That they want. Do it.
Yes.
The Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley is perhaps the most important graduate religious studies school in the Western United States. Certainly it has the largest theological library in the Western United States. They have many levels and kinds of joint programs with the University of California at Berkeley, which is one of the top universities in America, if not the world. Prabhupada always used to say that there are many great universities all over the world, but there's no department, there's no program to understand the soul.
The faculty the IVS will be bringing to the GTU as adjunct faculty in the coming year will include those who will be teaching introductory course in Sanskrit, a course in the Bhagavad Gita.
There will be a department to understand the soul. There will be a department to understand Krishna.
Thus, established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, a man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association.
In 1984, I was given an assignment by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust to work with Sadhuputta Prabhu, Richard Thompson, on a magazine that would present the basic Vedic perspective on different issues in modern science to a popular audience. For 8 years, I did considerable research into the entire history of archaeology. The book Forbidden Archaeology was my first venture into very heavy scientific research and writing.
In their book, Forbidden Archaeology, Michael Cremo and Dr. Richard Thompson uncovered numerous cases which suggest that modern man could be millions of years older than history tells us.
According to most standard accounts, human beings, like ourselves, have only been around 100,000 years or so. But the evidence that we catalog in Forbidden Archaeology takes human history back tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of years.
From the very beginning, we wanted the work that we did in Forbidden Archaeology to reach not only the scientific world, but also the general public. Therefore, we made an abridged edition of the book called The Hidden History of the Human Race.
The hidden history of the human race is something that is in direct opposition, I guess, to the Darwinian theory of evolution.
There was a lot of planning that went into that to make it happen, but that was all inspired by the desire of Srila Prabhupada, who wanted that to happen. And that is very satisfying to me.
A person who is constantly engaged in reading literature, enunciating the cultivation of Vaishnava devotional service, is always glorious in human society, and certainly Lord Krishna becomes pleased with him.
I was quite skeptical about my ability of doing devotional service because I was the first Chinese devotee. I was by myself, and seemingly nobody was supporting what I was doing. It was a cultural shock, but somehow I kept going. Prabhupada gave me direction that I should translate his books into Chinese. Then I gradually learned, and at the same time introduce Bhakti Yoga into the Chinese-speaking people. From that time onwards, we expanded our temple. We have regular deity worship. We have programs for the Chinese communities. We have lectures, we teach yoga, and we also have a restaurant.
Godhead is light, nescience is darkness. Where there is Godhead, there is no nescience.
I got involved in 1968 when I first joined at 2nd Avenue. My first engagement was stapling booklets, collating back to Godhead. And I gradually moved up to typing. And somehow or other, after some time, they made me the editor. Here's a magazine dealing with the quintessence of spiritual life. Back to Godhead. When people come in touch with Back to Godhead, then they come in touch with Krishna, they come in touch with the devotees of Krishna, they come in touch with the literature of Krishna consciousness, the culture of Krishna consciousness, the arts of Krishna consciousness. Krishna and everything connected with Krishna, people come in touch with through Back to Godhead. It's meant for the service of the readers. Not material service, but service to the self within the body, the service to the eternal person himself.
I wish that all of our Krishna-conscious literatures may be available to men of all languages throughout the world. So whatever assistance you can give in this connection is always appreciated.
Our main goal is to see all of Srila Prabhupada's books translated and printed as quickly as possible for all the languages of Northern Europe, Central Europe, and the former Soviet Union. Right now we can do about 70 to 100 titles a year, and this, our translation work, resulted in printing of approximately 27 million books in the past 3 years. Everybody who gets in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books benefits so much. I benefited, everybody who translates here benefited, everybody who takes a book and reads benefits. That gives us a lot of inspiration to go on in this lifelong marathon of translating and producing his literature.
Just go and try to ask everybody if you don't, like, on material platform choose people. But sometimes if you stop even old people, you got amazed how they give you big donation and they get books.
I
feel very grateful to being allowed to take part in this wonderful mission, because I understand that it is not by my qualities or by my way of speaking or smiling to that person that this man now took these books, but I can see that something from within told him that this is good for you and you should actually accept this and you should take it.
Being a book distributor is a great challenge because you don't really know what is going to happen the next day. Although you know that every day you're going to have the same experience, it seems to be really new.
I used to wonder why I was very sad and my two sons were very happy. And so I started reading Prabhupada's books, and my two sons began preaching to me and convinced me to become a devotee of Krishna. So I'm very glad to have two sons who are devotees of Krishna.
Estaba echando gasolina cuando una señorita rubiecita.
I was parked in a gas station in Peru and was putting gas in my car when a lady came up to me dressed like an Indian. She was very happy and enthusiastic. She said, "This is a book by my spiritual master. Please read this book." I brought the book home and read it. Immediately after reading the book, I told Lalita, "This is knowledge. This is the knowledge we were looking for."
I was very young then, only 4 years old, but my parents got convinced by that book. It changed their hearts, and that moved me.
The next day, we went looking for more books. We went to the same gas station. The same lady was there distributing books. We ran up to her and asked her, "Do you have any other books? What other books do you have?"
When we approached the financial director again, he refused to meet us. We went back to the general director to tell him about the situation. All of a sudden, this very peaceful, gentle person stood up from his chair in a very determined way and said, "Let's go." This leader was exceptionally special. He told us that he is convinced that the production of the enterprise is directly connected with people reading these books, and that's why he was so persistent in helping us. Now I have grandsons and granddaughters. I will give them all these books as gifts. Let them read them. Thanks a lot to these young people who come here and so kindly give us this knowledge. There is so little kindness in this world. You are planting this kindness in people's hearts.
After being in contact with knowledge like this, I become more soft-hearted.
I am planning to read these books. Then we will see. Maybe they will convince me to believe in God.
These books have eternal values, which are important for everyone to know, whether they are Hare Krishnas, Christians, Muslims, or any other type of transcendentalist.
But you could not change their mind. All the lines and smiles you gave them, still they treated you unkind. As the sun is nearly setting, you approach another stranger who just loves what he is getting. Now you feel you're out of danger. Yeah, you go back out on Sankirtan for one more marathon. You go back out on Sankirtan.
My ambition is to spread these books far and wide all over the world, so that everyone shall read at least one of our books, and that will change his life.
Bhakti Marg Swami began his cross-Canada tour last April in Vancouver. He averages about 50 kilometers a day. His message is simple. Canadians should think more about the spiritual side of life.
I'd like to see Canada become a little more stable, cohesive.
On the roads of Canada, Bhakti Marg says people have given him food and offered him rides. Bhakti Marg hopes to reach St. John's, Newfoundland before Christmas. And although his trek ends there, he says his spiritual journey will continue.
When you're on foot and you're going long distances, you're forced to meet people and to talk to people. And that's what I think I've gained from this walk, is the opportunity to make a lot of friends and allow people to come that much closer to Krishna.
Padayatra is like the continuation of Mahaprabhu's walk 500 years ago. At that time he walked within India, but now he's going beyond the boundaries. When Prabhupada found out how we were doing nicely in the villages, especially how we were depending on Krishna, and inviting people, chanting and speaking to them, and towards the end make them sit down and feed prasad. Prabhupada was so pleased.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
But the chief said yes, and off went the temple with happy Hare Krishna disciples and the bullocks sandwiched between a lorry and a pantechnicon. Someone asked why they couldn't walk on water. Well, maybe that would have been asking too much.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity. It enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
Sankirtan is the most important part of the people here in Manipur. In general, any family in Manipuri, they have to perform the Sankirtan for any function, for any of their lively duties. Gaudiya Vaishnava came during the king's time, Bhagya Chandra Maharaj. Radha Krishna Ras Leela is the most important of the Vaishnavas. They think this is the prime instructions they should follow.
So the result of what is seen today is an entirely due to the inspiration and guidance of his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
90% of the population in Bali, they are following the Hindu religion. The chanting of the holy name was thus known by the people here until the coming of the devotees. So we spreading many books, especially here in Bali and also in other islands. The devotees are increasing.
Suppose the dancing goes back many thousands of years, and it is a very nice type of dance because it is dramatical dance. It's a dance which displays the pastimes of Lord Rama and Lord Krishna, and therefore one becomes Krishna conscious by watching these beautiful dances.
Although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there's still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom.
Srila Prabhupada once said that the paintings in our books are like windows to the spiritual world. So I feel that by seeing the Harinam party, they're looking through that window and they're actually seeing the spiritual world in action. I've tried to develop that aspect where I'm preaching in the world, particularly in Poland and Russia. Wherever I go, I try to emphasize that aspect of chanting and dancing and developing it. We try to encourage the people to join us. It's not just a show out there, but we're trying to bring people into the spiritual world. So we'll invite them to dance with us. It is a way that people can actually see the dynamic, blissful nature of the spiritual world.
Lord Gaurang is calling. Please chant the holy names. In every town and village, there's no time for all your games. It's time to wake up, find out who you are. Wake up, it's time to wake up. You've been dreaming on a star. Lord Gaurang is calling. Please come and dance with me. Not just to chant, you'll be happy. Try it and you'll see. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Martin Luther King had a dream. And of course, we believe in that dream because we would also like to see everyone come under one banner, under one guise, under the banner of God, Krishna. So we want to get out there and propagate that understanding.
There's no time for playing games. You know it's time to wake up, find out who you are. Wake up, it's time to wake up. You've been dreaming of a star. Lord Gaurang is calling. Please come and dance with me. And if you chant, you'll be happy. Try it and you'll see. Come on! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
By chanting Hare Krishna and following this process of Krishna consciousness, people all over the world can live harmoniously in happiness.
Lord Gaurang is calling, please come and dance with me. And if you chant, you'll be happy. Try it and you'll see. Come on! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, people are getting this nectar, and it's immediate. It's not a slow process.
In a capsule, what is the movement?
The movement is to awaken God consciousness of the human being. The human being is distinguished from the animals, that the animals cannot understand what is God.
And Hare Krishna means what?
Hare Krishna means addressing the energy of God. Hare means the energy of God, and Krishna means God.
Do you feel that in getting truths from various places like the Bible and the Quran and so forth, don't you run into conflicts at all or contradictions in those particular philosophies?
No, I don't find any conflict because the ultimate goal is God. So you have to understand God and try to love Him.
If everyone in the United States believed in Krishna to the extent that you do, what would happen to this country? How would it be transformed?
They'll be very happy and peaceful.
If you want to know the value of this movement through science, philosophy, we have got enough ingredients to supply. Otherwise, it is simple, very simple. Simply chant these mantras. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And everything will be manifest to you.